Let's start the stream, guys. Hope the stream. What the heck? Why it's not starting? Yeah, now it's starting now. Open, baby, run, 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 run. It's running now. Okay. Now we cancel. Our live. Everything is live for people. Okay, let's go and start.
Duplicate, hide, or delete, similar to how you or take an average of, that is all, sales, profit.
So you guys are there, so let me just open the Acer.
Margin, revenue, loss, all of those numbers, visits, impressions, clicks, a lot of those different types of numbers based on metrics based on the different data sets you'll be looking at. But that's measures. Okay, fields is basically a combination of all these metrics and dimensions. Basically, a column in your Excel sheet is what you call a field. You can also have filters, and you can manage multiple pages, like since Power BI is an Microsoft product, you'll see a similar way like your Excel, where you are able to see multiple. You can have, add multiple new pages, like you have different sheets in an Excel sheet. There's also the data view, okay, which helps you to explore and understand the data. So it shows the different preview mode, and we'll go back to Power BI and look at all of this. Okay, you can apply filters similar to how you can apply in Excel. So do that as well. And then you have the model view, which is you can use to simplify complex models. You can create a lot of relationships and all. Then we are going to also talk about. So let me do one thing. In fact, let me go back before we talk about all of this. I think it's better to show you guys in the Power BI interface. So this is where we have the 3 tabs. You see my screen. Great. So on the left, you can see these 3 different panel, or these 3 different icons that I was talking about. This is the report view, where you get all the, you can add pages just like your Excel sheet, just like I'm keeping on adding pages. I don't need this. I'm going to delete it now. So I just added a lot of pages which I don't need. You can easily delete it by clicking on the cross icon there. And a lot of places right click also works, where you can rename, duplicate, hide, or delete, similar to how you would see options in your Excel. Okay, so this is my report view. Okay, I'm gonna rename this page. I can double click and rename, just like how I do in Excel. I did not intend to rename it as rename, but I'll rename it to something else, which is report. And this is the other view, where I can take a look at how my data actually looks like. Review. You remember how when you were.
So let me just connecting my database into the Power BI, so that we can also perform the same task, which in this video is showing about this particular map, so that we can also gain a hands-on practice. So let me just import my SQL database, and here I will type MySQL. So with the MySQL database, let me just connect it. So I have to give my server name. Going this particularly recycle array. You have to click on this. These are the servers, server names, which you have to put on those. And one simply select 3360. Then the database is called Casa, because you have to select the database name, which particularly table you want to get in. And the database is called root and the password. I will not tell you in this. I will not tell you in this. Okay, let me just see why this happening. Maybe about Netflix. Okay, let me start with this. We content to try MySQL connecting. Okay, something is happening here. So these are my server name basically, and this is it's a 33067. Wow, I type some otherwise. Now it's not connecting. Let me open. I do not say. Open the Power BI 3306. Let me go to that data, go to more, and go type MySQL database. MySQL database. Click on this. Click on it. So we are going to basically this. So we are only and there's this. Okay, and the database is the website and the automatic. Now it's connecting with my database. So I need all these data sets to load. So it's already transformed, and that's it. It will load them into the Power BI. Okay, so all the data set is loaded. So in the report view, it basically help you to build the representation, graphical representation like table, bar graph, chart, line chart, all this kind of thing. In the table view, you just find the particularly data inside the table like this, like this. In the data model, it will creating a relationship between the model, as you can see. Let me just make it clear so that it will be easy to visible. So there is no connection between the these two table because either it's not finding any unique or any identical column which matching in both the tables. That's why it will not creating any kind of relationship in this. Okay, so these are the model and these are the particular text. These are the current and newer version of view which are adding in the Power BI. If you're using the older version, it will not be visible on the older version. So this is the here opening the Google and
Loading the data, you saw a preview mode, right? So this is a similar kind of preview mode where it shows what kind of data is. Then there is this relationships model or the model view where right now we have only one source. I can move this around, but if there is another source, I'll be able to mix and match it up, so which we will talk about in I think the next session. So today we're going to work with one single table. So these are the three different views that we're talking about. Here you see the fields. There you also have a visualization pane, which has the different type of charts and all of that. We will come to that. Don't worry about it. And you have also the filters pane. Okay. Taking a quick look at the chat. Okay. Oh yeah. Average is missing in pie chart. There were two mediocre in it. Yes, that was a good and interesting observation. You need to have an eye for detail. Thanks for calling that out. Okay, so now we have all of this. Now what we're going to do is go and make some changes in the data that we loaded already, which is the multi-level data, that Excel sheet. We're going to transform some data, make some data manipulations there. Okay, clean it up a bit. So this new window is called the Power Query Editor. What you can do is click on Edit Queries and then you will get a new window. So this new window is called the Power Query Editor. Okay, so it opens up. If you can see, it opens up as another tab. It opens up in a new window. And this is exactly where you would have come if you had, while clicking on load and transform. If you remember, while you're loading the file, there were two options, load and transform. If you click on transform, this is where you will come, where you are in the query editor. Okay. What do you mean by query editor? So it's a Power Query editor. Query is basically any connection that you are making with, from Power BI to your data source. That's a query. Okay. So you can see there are list of queries here, which is only one query here, which is the sheet that we linked with. If we linked with 5 Excel sheets, it would show 5 queries in here. So every data source that you're connecting to is a query in Power BI. Okay. On the right side, you see this query settings. It has the properties, the name, all properties, and a lot of our query editor. Okay. So edit queries will get active only once you load your data. If you're not able to see it, check out the other tabs. It's possible that in a different version, the options have been moved a bit here and there. So check in the other tabs. Okay. The new version doesn't have it. It should be there in a different tab maybe. Can you check the other tabs in maybe other tabs? Can you find it in the other tabs quickly? Okay, it's going to be the same. But yeah, here if you go to the query editor window, now you see there are a list of steps that are here, which is the applied. So you know that you loaded the data. If you want to change the source at any point, you need to home screen. So you can click on this gear icon and source and change. If the the location of where your file was stored, if it changes, you can click on browse and change the the file from where it was stored. So that's one way you can change the file source. In navigation, it basically what it does is it shows, if you remember, this is the same step you performed where you choose a particular sheet within the Excel that you have to load, right? So that's the navigation. And then promoted headers and change type, you did not do this. Power BI did it on its own. So what it did is the first rows of the Excel sheet, it promoted them as the header or the column header, which you can see over here. Okay. And then it changed the type, which means, based on the values in a column, it changed the data type to a particular type, like if it's a number or a string, you can see the data type indications here, which says, here it says 1, 2, 3, which is like numeric data. Here it's ABC 1, 2, 3 because it has both ABC and 1, 2, 3, which is like a alphanumeric data set, right? You can do the steps that have been performed and your CR steps. All of this is go back and do it exactly like your Excel sheet. Okay. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do is transpose this entire sheet. Okay. Transpose is basically, if you have learned metrics or the metrics operations, transpose is basically convert rows to columns and columns to rows. So it's like just swapping the rows and columns. Okay. If you're not able to find something, it came into one column. Okay. And now, when I did transpose, now all the cities came into one column. Okay. All the types, or this is over it will say transpose. Okay. I'm going to click transpose, and now when I did transpose, now all this, okay. Now there's still a problem where the year, but going to this, what it does is it promoted all the headers. Along with that, it changed the data type also. So are there in first row, okay, and then you have these couple of columns. So now I want to rename these columns as city. This is city, and this is city column still has some problems. Why? Because all these 3 rows are Seattle. Okay, but it's showing me first one as Seattle and the other 2 as null. Now I need to fix that. How would I fix that? There's a simple data transformation step which allows me to fix this. What I need to do is there's this option called fill, and I can click fill down. Okay. When I do fill down, what happens is all the null values will take the value immediately above it. So this null will take the value Seattle, this null will take the value Portland. Okay. Make sure the column is selected and then you click on fill the year. So I want one column data. Okay, so Portland and Seattle are USA, Canada. Okay, now if city equals Vancouver, I'm going to select Vancouver. Equals Vancouver, then the country should be Canada, because I know all the others are USA, right? So Seattle and Portland are in USA, Vancouver is in Canada. So if city equals Vancouver, then Canada. If not, then USA. That's the clause. the conditional column at the end data. Don't try this on your Power BI screen yet. I'll give you time to do that. But here I'm going to do it on my screen. You can see it on the Zoom screen. Okay. I just dragged and dropped country from all the way from the right to the left. Okay.
Unlock your dream job in the workforce on top of the shipments table to count the number of shipments. Whereas a calculated column is something that is part of the table. So in the shipments table, we can use a calculated column to calculate the discount rate based on the order quantity of that shipment. Anybody, either in work or life. So I'm going to give you a column, make a new connection. Once all the data is Power BI desktop of their visual.
Okay, so I'm just beginning my interview. So I think we have connected for.
When HR calls you and tell you we are only looking for immediate joiners, and you feel that due to your
Okay, so I'm just beginning my interview. So
Okay, so currently I'm working with one of the UAE client and it's a banking project. So my roles and responsibilities in this particular project is a senior Power BI developer. So I'm handling the client requirements, like from taking the requirements from the client for to build the Power BI reports. From taking the requirements, after taking the requirements, we are analyzing that how much possibility, like whatever the client is expecting, it's possible in the Power BI, and if sometime it's quite it's not achievable directly in the Power BI, so we give some kind of alternatives for that also with the help of some other visuals. So after taking the SQL Server analysis services, developed it's a star schema.
and that you're
Which is the schema which we have developed. It's a star schema.
and that you've been creating dashboards for your stakeholders and all. So there may be a situation for you, and your entire team and you are responsible for creating and maintaining all these interactive dashboards for your stakeholders. Okay, and there may be certain situation clients coming back to you saying that during the peak hours the report is taking very high time to render all the visuals. So how do you optimize these kind of performance issues?
Okay, so in my latest project only we have faced this issue. So when we moved our UAT report to the prod, so in UAT only less amount of data is there, but in prod we have total 5 years of data. So some of the visuals is getting crashed in when the user is making selections in the slices. So that point of time we have done the analysis on our DAX creation, what we have created. So in that we already make use of variables as much as possible instead of creating the multiple same calculation again and again, but that also didn't help much. So after that we came into a solution like what if we can move this particular calculation directly into the view side, and in the view with the help of case statements we can create those calculations, and whenever we are filtering any measure on top of it the dimension values, so instead of directly pulling out from the dimension values, we are pulling those required columns into same fact table itself, so that it is means those number of joins is not getting triggered at the point of calculation when it is getting triggered. So those all things we have created in the views, and after that when we are getting the data from views to the cube, and so we are getting already the calculated column in the
Scenario, for example, you're working with some senior leader or a stakeholder, okay, and they are requesting some last minute changes to a report which is very critical to the board meeting and all, but there is a suddenly some that requested change conflicted, with your data definitions or agreed rules. So how would you handle this last minute changes, situations?
It's like, first of all, I have to analyze it like in what level the changes will be there. If it's a data level changes or only it's with the Power BI report level changes. If it's completely with the data level changes, then we have to connect with our data team as well, and we have to do the changes whatever is required. And after that, if there is no correction required in the Power BI report side, that is well and good, because when we make changes into our data side, so it's already a live connection. So after corrected it into data side, it will automatically being reflected into our Power BI report because it's a live connection. And if it's a Power BI report side changes are there, then I have to analyze it first. Like for example, if it's any visual changes are there or any calculation changes are there, so that I have to analyze it first, and we have to create it, means we have to correct it, and then only I can give it, like if it's possible within 2 hours or not, that I have to confirm it first, and then after that only we can move it with the changes.
Oh, okay. Got it. Got it. Okay. And I'll try to put you in another scenario. Let's say, for example, you're in your role, you have developed certain data model in your SSMS or whatever the tool you are using it, and which improved your query performance by 30% with the kind of data model which you have created. But what happened? That report started showing all the inconsistent data due to some recent data model changes, which was done by you. How would you address this issue, and and how would you ensure such errors are minimized during future model updates?
So for example, if some irrelevant data is also coming, so we have to make sure, like instead of taking all the means columns, like select star from the table, we have to specifically mention the columns which we have to take it from the table itself, instead of directly taking the select star. And suppose if we have only, if it's required only 5 years of data or 4 years of data, so in where condition we have to also filter it for that particular condition, that the data should come up only for these many years. And also if some static filter is also required, for example, if we have to neglected some of the business units or some of the that location code, so that also we have to implement it at the in the where condition itself, so that data will get filtered out at the that starting level only, instead of coming it into all the data into cube, then we are filtering it at the report level.
So what do I use AI in the terminal for? JQ queries, manifests, explain concepts you don't understand or want to learn.
Okay. But my question was, like, it was already implemented, and what kind of best practices you suggest to your team or to your management to avoid these kind of errors in the future? Like, I am expecting a kind of a pointer, the rules, basic rules for your data model design.
For that, like we have to follow some certain steps, I think. First of all, like I mentioned, like instead of taking all the columns, we have to specify only the relevant columns should be taken. And in where clause, first of all, we have to
It's not
filter.
basically, it is not about the clauses, okay, not the transaction tables or not. So touch upon these kind of rules. So this is what data engineers do for a testing, right? Once the tables are done, okay, you try to add 2 to 3 rules, and yeah, basically.
So direct query is like it's also kind of like we are not saving the data into a Power BI file. It's like we are making the direct connection with our data sources. So the live data will come up based on the refresh rate what we are implemented. So it's like, but there are some limitations are also there in the direct query mode. Like some time intelligence functions won't support it over there. So instead of taking all the data from the direct query mode, like we can make use of the composite model as well. Like for example, some of the dimension tables we can import it and we can save it into our Power BI file, and the fact tables we can make use of with the help of the direct query mode. So it will also improve some kind of performance in our Power BI report.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, I think I'm done with this, scenario based. Let me jump into some behavioral questions. In interview, they will not tell like this, but I'm trying to tackle some behavioral questions for you. Can you describe, for example, a situation where you collaborated with your other team members, like a cross-functional team, and you delivered some critical report, or you worked on that project, and how did you ensure, your objectives are meeting the same?
Example, if we have already done with any kind of report development or the model development as well, so if any changes are coming from the client side, so based on that, the testing team, if they perform the testing on top of that any report or data model, and if they found any discrepancies are coming in that report or data model, so they are creating the Jira tickets based on their developer's name. So based on that, if any Jira ticket is created on top of it my name, because I am the Power BI developer over here. So whenever I made any changes in the report, so instead of directly publishing it into services, in that Jira ticket we mentioned that the issue is fixed, and also what issues is it's highlighted, that also we are mentioning, and the solution also we are mentioning in the comments when we are closing the Jira tickets.
Okay, so you mean, can you specifically talk one case where you would say can semantic any situation have to integrate multiple other data engineering, like I felt, and we have into.
So one time I faced like this, when we created any measure. So as I already tell, on top of that measure, we are filtering with multiple dimension tables as well. So So sometimes flag situations are also coming, based on that 2 to 3 columns, we are filtering the values. So how many times, if we are communicating with 2 to 3 dimension table, so the query is becoming very slow at that point of time. So once we got a clarification from the client side as well, what if we can pull all the columns from 2 to 3 dimension table into one particular fact table itself, and based on that particular filter condition, we created a fact column. The data people have created the fact column in the view level itself report. As this scenario we have faced it.
Yeah. So I always talk with one example and then you are done.
Okay.
And let me jump into next aspect. Let's say, for example, can you just share me an experience where there was a disagreement with within the team, okay, on how to approach a technical issue or project. So how do you resolve it basically that, and how did you arrive a solution for that conflict?
Okay, so this kind of scenario, as of now, I have not faced.
Okay, you haven't experienced the situation?
No. Yeah, I haven't experienced this situation.
Yeah, imagine you if you are
एज अ पर डे ज्यादा नहीं 500 रुपीज तो ऑन कर लेता हूँ. आपका सेटअप तो मार्वलस है. सबसे पहले सर क्या था कि एक छोटी सी कहानी है कि शेयर मार्केट क्या है कि लोगों को डुबो देता है. शेयर मार्केट इतना
productivity techniques that you can use in Power BI right now, embedding, having, this is sort of turning into the only way that I like to develop Power BI reports. Now, what we've done internally at Enterprise DNA is instead of having to dream up new sort of designs to your reports, and that includes, how you structure the grids within your reports, how you structure the navigation, just the entire look and feel, right? What we've figured out is that you can do a lot of that background work inside of, say, PowerPoint, or inside of this technology called Figma, which enables you to just to design nice sort of wallpaper designs. You can do a lot of that work outside of Power BI and then quickly implement it into Power BI. So I'll give you an example. So I'll go through the sort of custom theme that I've got in here as well. I'll do that next. But you see here that I've got a nice background here. Okay. And what I'll do, I'll actually open up the grid pattern underneath it. Now there's a ton of benefits of doing this, right? There's literally a ton. One is just save you so much time in terms of having create custom designs like this. And
hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Currently I'm in the DAX studio and I'm connected to this Superstore Analytics dashboard dataset. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Currently I'm in the DAX studio and I'm connected to this Superstore Analytics dashboard dataset. So if you don't know how to install the DAX Studio and how to connect the data source in the DAX Studio, is sum of sales from the orders table. So here we are considering orders table. So if you can see the stats of the orders table, you can see it has only 16 columns and it execute the first expression, which is using divide function. So when you click on this server timings, it will take a few seconds and start. Now it's ready. So I'm going to evaluate our first measure using divide function. Before that, I'm going to clear the cache and I will click on run. So this is the result we are in, and here on the left you can see the FE and S0 it took using divide operator. So I'm going to select it and I'm going to clear the cache and click on run and see the server timings. You can see it is taking 17 milliseconds. So it is taking 17 milliseconds and the divide function was taking only 0 milliseconds. So there is so much of difference only for 10,000 of rows. So when the number of rows increases, this timing will also increase. So here we can clearly conclude that divide function is much faster than divide operator. So I can...
Developing Power BI reports can take a lot of time. You have to set up a good data model or semantic model is key for visuals, sales, and there you can make use of the group by transformation.
आज की इस वीडियो में मैं आप पर नहीं बल्कि यहाँ पे एम्प्लॉइज में के ऊपर एंड आपको
अरे मैंने डेटा में मेल और फीमेल जो होता है
हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम बैक टू BI स्किल। अब देखिए यहाँ पे
Is it possible to create stunning Microsoft Excel reports just like this in less than 2?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another using in the description. You can go and download it and walk through
going back to the exercise sheet, just to quickly look at, am I missing any? Any steps here. Okay, now we want to deal with the date column, right? I think somebody mentioned that the year says it's ABC type. I want to change that to a date type, right? So that's what we are going to do here. Now I'm going to change the year data type to date. So one way I can do it very easily is from here I can change it to a date. I can change it to date/time, but this one doesn't have a time associated with it. It doesn't have time zone also, it just has the date. So I can change it to date. That's one simple way I can do it. But here you see the problem. By default, the date was taken as January 1st, 2005, which is not what I was expecting to see, right? So I didn't want to, so this is again an assumption that Power BI is making, that when you convert something into a date call format, it has a date, month and a year, and by default if it doesn't have it, it will take it as 1/1. Okay, so now I'm going to fix this. How am I going to fix this? So as having selected this column, there's this date functionality here in the add column. Okay, I'm going to click on date, and in year I can choose just the year from this date column, which will add a column your text data type anymore, a year, date, and select the year at repeat for year column again, how to add more. Then you can add, if I click on conditional column, there is something here called add clause. Okay, and then you can add else if any number of times. Okay, so you can add nested conditions. That's one way to do it. The The year step, all I did is, okay, let me undo all of this. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is change this. Okay, change type. I'm going to undo that also. So all I did is change the type of this to date, but then it took January, 1/1/2005. Now there are different ways to do this, by the way. So if you have found a more shorter way to do it, that's also possible. So there are different ways to do it. And then I went to add column date and selected year. So I can also select different other things like month, start of month, quarter, week, day. And there are a lot of other options that you get when you right click on a column. You can duplicate a column, unique topper, seen in others of product. I want to see the thing to go. It got added at the end. So now all of those steps are present there. So I just duplicated a column, did remove. There's something in here called as enter data also. So I think someone was previously suggesting enter data. Enter data is when you want to manually enter some data and not use any data source. Okay. Obviously you wouldn't enter data when there is large size of data. It's just if you want to create a simple lookup table or something like that. Okay. So I'm going to enter data. And I'm going to enter some random data here, but what I'm going to do is enter something as simple as this. You can see it in the sheet, alphanumeric. See random data here, but what I'm going to do is add data, and I'm going to table or something like that. Okay, so I'm going